What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Back in for another great episode. Yes, I have been MIA for a while. Did not give you guys a week of content. Took a little social media break. Took a step back from fantasy and try to focus my energy on other things because I do have a real life. I do have a job. So there's other things that I needed to focus on. So therefore, that's why there's been a drought of no fire content. You know what I mean? But I'm back. I'm ready. And today we are talking Curtis Samuel, his fantasy outlook, his situation there in Carolina and what's going on. Expectations, ADP, obviously what we're going to be covering today. But I do think Curtis Samuel does bring some type of value. Just a small bit, just a little bit. You know what I mean? He's definitely a guy I'm not telling you to not draft or to avoid. He's definitely a guy I want on my bench because there is some potential for him to pop off. So let me not waste any more time. So let's get right into the episode. So today we got Curtis Samuel. He finished wide receiver 36, people. I like this kid. He is very explosive. I mean, he's shown improvement, since his rookie year, 2017. When snap opportunity was there, when he had the opportunity to show up and show out, he definitely did that. You know what I mean? His yak yards are something amazing to look at, definitely. Improved through the years. Yards have improved since his rookie year. And he had Calvin Benjamin. He had Devin Funchess in front of him. He had opportunities to flash here and there once they weren't on the field or they weren't performing well. You know what I mean? So this last season was his season high for the most targets, for most touchdowns, for most yards, and etc. So things started to open up. So obviously Calvin Benjamin out of there, Devin Funchess out of there, you know what I mean? Greg Olsen out of there. So he had a lot of snap opportunities, a lot of target shares. It was very heavy. Now, I do fear going into this next season, still a heavy workload for him to actually become fantasy relevant week to week. So you got CMC there, obviously, that's going to take a shitload of the targets, if not all the targets. And then you got DJ Moore on the outside as well, who's very explosive, who saw 149 targets. So it's not going to be an easy ordeal for Curtis Samuel to step up and be week to week relevant, being that he has all these people in front of him. But the one key player here that bothers me the most, if he wasn't here, if he wasn't picked up in the offseason, I really think Curtis Samuel has wide receiver 3 potential, and that's Robbie Anderson. Now, they're very similar, I would say, in what they can do. They can stretch the field, very speedy. You know what I mean? Robbie Anderson has okay hands, but I think Curtis Samuel overall as a wide receiver gets the edge. He is a better overall wide receiver, I believe. So I think Robbie Anderson, instead of being competition or, competitive with Curtis Samuel to get on the field, I think it'll be more so of a pest. I hate, labeling wide receivers as pests because everybody has the same opportunity to an extent. You know what I mean? All Curtis Samuel has to do is outplay, free agent pickup. They got Robbie Anderson for a bargain. So all he has to do is outplay him, right? No, that's not really the situation here. I really think that they're going to try to get Robbie Anderson going, being that they invested the money into him. Even trade talks were with Curtis Samuel, and, early in this year. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen 100% when it comes to who they're going to try to focus in on. Because obviously, like I said, you got 2 heavy hitters in that offense who's going to absorb all those targets. So Curtis Samuel will have to compete to some extent for Robbie Anderson, but Robbie Anderson just will be a pest. Now we know Robbie Anderson, he was a one-trick pony, you know what I mean? He'll pop off one week, pop off the next week or whatever, and it's like all because of like these long throws to him, 20 yards plus. And you know what I mean? And I think that's cool. That's a good factor, him being able, again, to stretch a field. But I'm not 100% sold on Robbie Anderson to be like an all-around pickup, a guy that I'm going to stash because I think he's going to pop off week to week. I just don't see it happening. So, I mean, like I said, we've seen Curtis Samuel show improvement year after year. I do believe he'll show improvement as well. He'll just keep going forward, 627 yards last year. I really see him pulling in 800 yards if possible. You know what I mean? If Robbie Anderson doesn't become that pest. He also has an issue of staying healthy as well, and I don't see him being fantasy relevant week to week regardless of he's a wide receiver 3 in that offense or a third look in that offense. I don't see him reaching anything above wide receiver 4, but that's a whole nother conversation. But today I just want to focus on Curtis Samuel. Now, he's definitely a guy I do want to pick up in the later rounds because he could be a guy that I can have on my bench. So when I have my wide receiver 2 or my flex, they're on bye, I could just plug and play Curtis Samuel. But my only problem with that is I have to plug and play him based on matchups. I have to plug and play him, rolling the dice, because I don't know week to week he's going to be able to put up, points that are relevant. Like if I have him on my bench, and let's say my flex is Keenan Allen or whatever, or Melvin Gordon or somewhere in that nature, where my flex is on a bye and I have 2 stud wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, it'll be hard to actually confidently, like I start and forget, to plug him into my flex, praying he gives me between 10 to 15 points. That's really what I'm looking at him. 10 to 15 points. If he can't give me that, then I'm going to be shitting the bed and I'm going to possibly taking a loss. But he does have that potential in him. I'm saying he does have that potential in him. But is it every week? You know what I mean? Wide receiver 36 he finished, which isn't terrible. You know what I mean? Being that the situation he's in. But I definitely think you need to rethink about this investment. There's no risk, I would say, because you're getting him in the 14th round. But I don't like bench warmers. And I feel like that's what it's going to end up being with all these mouths to feed. It's going to be too many people trying to get the ball. And again, you're on a team with CMC who demands and requires all those targets. You know what I mean? And then to put in another factor, you got Teddy Bridgewater. We know Teddy Bridgewater is a above average quarterback. He's not, elite. He doesn't suck. He's just right in between where he's a good quarterback. 5-0 with the Saints. Can't overlook that, people. But that was a system that I believe that worked very well for him. It was very safe, because I want to say Teddy Bridgewater is safe. So we know he's not going to be running out of the pocket as much. He dealt with a lot of injury. I mean, my Rams laid some wood on him as well. Concussion, lights out. Shout out to Roddy McLeod. You are a monster. But anyway, I really feel like, actually, that was LaMarcus Joyner, another dog. He is a beast. LaMarcus Joyner knocked out Teddy Bridgewater in that game. Look it up. But anyway, the problem here is Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson. There are guys that can stretch the field, speedsters. I think they'll honestly put Curtis Samuel in the slot. But I think Teddy Bridgewater, he's not going to be able to air the ball out as much as we want him to. Only 15 attempts last season with 20 yards plus. Only 15 people. And I feel like can't really do him that much justice, because when he was with the Vikings, he was ballpark around there too, 15 to 20 times. He aired the ball out 20 plus yards. So, you know what I mean? You got these guys who specialize in this skill set of just running a straight 9 and beating coverage and wanting the ball to be aired out 20 plus yards. I don't think we're going to get that much from Teddy Bridgewater doing that. So this is where it comes in, that it's going to be nice, safe, passes. Hopefully these guys' hands are up to par. Hopefully they can get the chemistry down packed. Joe Brady coming in, running the offense. I feel like he has high hopes for Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson, saying that Robbie Anderson has crisp hands, nice route running, et cetera, et cetera. Something I don't think I saw out of him in the New York Jets. But, coaches, they talk. They like to give, their players, their newcomers, encouragement. They like to gas them up a bit, get them excited for the season, get them excited about them, being a coach, running that offense. So I definitely think, it's all smoke and mirrors when we see these reports with the coaches saying, I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this. But the only coach I actually believed was Bruce Arians when he said Chris Godwin was not coming off the field. Because if you come in and say that and just be blunt with that and not go into further detail why he's going to not leave the field, that's when I believe you. When you just put a statement out there like Chris Godwin will not come off the field. And then it's just like, damn, he must be really freaking high on him. He must be really good. He's going to be a focal point. And look at Chris Godwin going off last season. So I definitely think right now you got a coach that wants to get his players, on board, believing in him, giving Curtis Samuel, the hype that he wants and wants to hear, the encouragement. Robbie Anderson coming as a newcomer off season, getting picked up for a bargain. I feel like they're going to try to gas him up as well so they can get the best abilities out of him as well. But overall, what you should get out of this episode right now is to stash Curtis Samuel, but don't have the high expectations. Right now, he's going in the 14th round, so you will get him close enough. He might even hit waivers, people. So there's no risk at there at all. But I just don't want guys stashing the wrong player. Do not stash Robbie Anderson. He's a one-trick pony, people. I want you to understand you're going to put him in as that flex. He's going to shit the bed. Put him in at the flex. He's going to shit the bed. He's going to shit the bed week to week. He's not consistent at all. There's no type of consistency we've seen out of him since New York. You know what I mean? There's nothing that we saw, nothing that, makes me appealing to be like, I need to stash this guy. No, I'm going to stash Curtis Samuel instead. Give me all smoke, all parts, all shares, all stocks of Curtis Samuel come draft day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a little bit of a different route of a fantasy outlook. My expectations for him is to just simply be a guy that is a role player that does his job when he has the opportunity. I don't really see him exploding into a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1. Of course not, with CMC and DJ Moore there. So expectations for Curtis Samuel aren't too high, but I will draft him to have him on my bench. Now, Robbie Anderson, I have no hope in. I have no type of expectations for him. I really don't see his ADP changing or increasing or et cetera. It doesn't feel like I need to have Robbie Anderson on my team because I don't see him contributing to my team to bring home the gold, people. So Curtis Samuel will be the full send. Like I said, year after year since 2017, we've seen him, increase in targets, increase in touchdowns, yards after catch, et cetera. The dude is a stud. He needs to basically just beat out Robbie Anderson completely. Just put that to bed. Just kill the pest. You know what I mean? Because that's all Robbie Anderson will be this season, a pest. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ.